Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. I am here with my co-host JC. Hey JC, how you doing?
Pretty good, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be back.
Right, JC has been on vacation, as have I. We took a little bit of time off, not together, separately, and we are back with an amazing guest today. We're back with the payroll advisor, Vicki Lambert. Hey Vicki.
Hi Vicki.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you. You're coming from Las Vegas.
Yep. Las Vegas, the home of the slot machine. What can we say?
Yeah.
Also, the most marriages. So we do get that. We have the most churches. So
that's. I wonder. So a lot of the marriages are probably at 2 a.m. or.
Yeah. Our marriage bureau. You know where you go get your license? Is 24 hours.
No way. That's amazing. That's a little insane, but amazing.
Well, here's hoping not many people have their wages garnished for divorce in Las Vegas, but we'll be getting into that a little bit, I'm sure.
I was going to say something, but I was like, I'll keep this all positive today. Well, hey, Vicki, we are so happy to have you here. Our guests are in the HR space, and many of them are also in the payroll space. Me personally, I do not do payroll. I can barely add on my fingers, never mind do somebody's payroll. So I stick to good old HR. I love the fact that your name, your title is the payroll advisor. Tell me and our guests a little bit about, what you do and how you got to become the payroll advisor.
Well, I do nothing but payroll. I discovered payroll in 1976, and I got my first part-time job in payroll, and then I got a full-time job, and I just love it. So I just kept doing it, and I wanted to expand, but some of us have skills that allow you to be a manager, and others of us don't. Like, I can't do the office politics. To me, all that matters is payroll. So when my boss says you got to go to this meeting, I go, no, I got to get my payroll out. So I went in a different direction that nobody else went into for a long time. And that was to start writing and consulting and researching. So I ended up writing a newsletter for a company that's no longer in business. And it was called the Payroll Advisor. And so I wrote that newsletter for about 2 years. And then that title just stuck. So I'm the payroll advisor because everybody wants to ask me questions.
Nice.
So it's what I live for now, answering payroll questions.
That's awesome. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, I love payroll. So for our listeners, connect with Vicki Lambert on LinkedIn, because we always know questions, but we never could find the answer. So now we have a go-to person. So that's just awesome. Thank you for being so open and so passionate about payroll, just as much as I am the HR lady, passionate about HR and lately these days, more management training. So
I literally just found Vicki on LinkedIn right now. So anyone listening along, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'm looking at your experience on LinkedIn myself, and you just got amazing experience. But hey, Vicki, has payroll changed over the past, 3 decades?
Well, 40 some odd years now, I would say yes. First of all, I've done all my payroll in California, so I've seen every wage and hour law ever written. I just got my new book for California Wage and Hour Manual. It's now up to 5 pounds.
Oh,
wow.
We're not even doing pages anymore. We're doing poundage. So I started then, and it was manual. It was called pegboard. And you basically, 8 times 8 is, and then they made it, 4 something an hour, and you did the whole thing on a what we call a columnar pad spreadsheet.
Yeah.
If the younger people don't know what it is, you have to Google it. It's hard to explain. It looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's in real life. It's actually in your hands, not on a computer screen. And we actually had to go through and create the entire check each line by line of each employee,
Woo.
and then we had to add it up to get the final figures.
Oh, man.
So, and now, I had people handwriting time cards. I had people, punching time cards. And now the difference is I can track people's movements and their time by the second. So because our systems are so sophisticated now, they can do these calculations that we had to do. Most of the calculations they can do that we had to do by hand.
Well, not to mention no more hanging chads. Wow.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, how many companies out there, generally speaking, do measure down to like the second or the minute? I thought a majority of companies did like 10 or 15 minutes.
Well, the majority of companies right now across the United States do the 7-minute rule. Okay. Which is if you punch out at 5:07, you don't get paid. If you punch out at 5:08, you do. The federal government says that's fine. Most of the states go along with that. So now we basically do rounding, and like we always have, because that was always allowed because the only computer we had were the fingers, you know? So if I've got a time card and it says like 8:05, I round that back to 8, and then I do the lunch, and then I do the final, and then I make it all even so I can do it in my head. I can add anything up in 8 hours.
Oh my God.
I can't do 9s. 9 by 9, I have no idea, but I can do 8 by. But basically, yeah. So nobody's really doing that yet, but it's starting to move in that direction. Okay, because everything changes and grows, and payroll's no different. It just takes a little bit of more time. Payroll, I always tell people, is not a proactive field. It's a reactive. So nobody's going to write even Ted Kennedy, the most liberal person you're going to find in the Senate, didn't wake up and say, I want to make a wage and hour law today to really irritate employers. It's always a reaction to something. So so payroll has to learn to react quickly. Like we just found a state that's decided, I believe it's Alabama, they've decided that they are not going to tax overtime next year.
Oh.
Wow. Who was that?
I think it's Alabama. And so basically what happens is that now everybody's got to react to that. And that's what we get in payroll. It's always a reaction, and they sometimes don't give us a lot of time, and other times they give, a long lag, like this one is next year. But sometimes they'll say starting July 1. How am I supposed to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When it's just a couple weeks away, and you don't have all the systems ready and everything. So wow, that's just amazing. I'm just sitting here in awe over here because I still count on my fingers. I use Excel sheets and calculators for everything, and we are just in a technology age that if there isn't any information, most people were moving so fast that we rely on systems. So kudos to you for being able to understand the behind the scenes, because I think many people, many of our listeners even, they are given payroll as a side, as an additional duty. And we have some technology system and we're just hoping that it works because we don't really know how to do it behind us. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the biggest problems, is not understanding what your system does, or that your system does not do it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey, Vicki, we are going to jump into episode 2, and then we have a lot to talk about, including wage garnishments and apparently Las Vegas marriages and child support. So for our listeners, we'll be right back.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.